We're live. I hope we're live. It's Leaf coming to you live from the Australian Consulate General.
That's right.
And that's good. And I'm here with Frances Van Ruth, who is the Consul here in San Francisco. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
It's great to have you here, and we sort of briefly met yesterday with the Startup Catalyst crew that came through, and you had a great talk with them and talked to them about San Francisco and life in San Francisco. It sounds like it's unique.
Unique, that's a good word for it.
I have spent a lot of time here in my life as well, so I feel like it's my second home in a lot of ways. So we were just talking off camera, the Consulate General and Embassy. How does that all work?
So embassies are always in the capital city of a country. So Australia's embassy is in Washington, DC.
Okay.
And the ambassador is Australia's senior representative to the US, based in the embassy. Consulates general are elsewhere around the country and are led by consul generals. And we're here to provide assistance to Australians that are in market. So we help with passports and emergency passports, or if Australians find themselves in difficulty while they're overseas. Right. We have a services charter where we provide assistance. But a big part of the work that we do here in the Consul General or Consulate in San Francisco is working with Australian companies and US companies to really strengthen the commercial exchange between Australia and the US.
Right, and I suppose with a particular focus from yesterday's talk with the Startup Catalyst guys and the group that's come over on this mission was around the tech and the startup and the ecosystem and all of that. And it can be a little daunting for Australians that come over here because it's a fast-paced world here. It's like on steroids.
It sure is, and I think that it's great to come though, because there's nothing like being there for getting a sense of it. So maybe there are lots of myths about Silicon Valley or the San Francisco Bay Area more broadly around the world, and it is a really exciting, fast-paced part of the world that's impacting the world with the tech giants that are based here. But when you come, you quickly can get connected into a network of other Australians that are already here, and with the assistance of Austrade and the Australian Trade Investment Commission here, get to understand the environment and the ecosystem and navigate your way.
Yeah, and there's a fair bit to navigate. So I guess, in my time in technology and startups over the years, I've seen quite a number of companies or experienced it and witnessed it where they come over, they've got a little bit of money and they hit San Francisco and very quickly burn it, and then they head home. Have you seen that, and how can you sort of help, reduce the de-risk it for those companies?
Sure. It's an expensive part of the world, that's for sure. Right. So certainly you could easily burn through cash in San Francisco if you don't do your homework and you don't come with a clear strategy and a business plan. So I think that they're two really important steps. There's a lot you can do before you get on the plane to set yourself up to hit the ground running as much as you can. And yes, there'll always be hiccups and learnings along the way, but doing as much prep work before you come, I think is a really important a point to make. And there's some great guides, one that we've produced called Land in the Bay, that's designed for Australian founders and entrepreneurs, that really sets out the things they should think about 90 days, 60 days out, 30 days out before coming. And then once you're here, what are some of the first things that you should consider to try to make that landing as smooth as possible. Yeah.
So we'll put the link to that document in our video. Okay. But can you just tell us maybe what are a couple of the key things that people can do? What are the primary things that they can do before they come?
So I think that you should, as I said, and I talked about this last night, really make sure that you understand your USP in the US market. So understand who your competitors are in the US market and how you're different. One of the things that I think is perhaps different about the Bay Area and Australia is the speed at which, whether it's partners or investors that you're going to connect with here, are going to get straight down to the brass tacks. So they are going to know who your competitors are, so you better know who they are as well and how you're different from them. Right. And in targeting, if it's, for example, if you're targeting venture capital, you want to make sure that you've done all your homework on who else they're invested in. and know that you're not a competitor to one of their existing portfolio companies, but if you complement, if you're in the same sector or the same space. So being able to localise yourself as quickly as possible, to contextualise who you are and what your company does and how it's different, but in the US environment, in the Bay Area, rather than from Australia, because for better or worse, the Bay Area is very Bay Area focused. They think the world will come to us.
That's very true. So one of the interesting points that was made last night by one of the other speakers was that if you're going to come, you need to come here for 3 months or sort of not at all. And I think you interjected in that and sort of maybe tempered that.
Had a different view.
Had a different view, and I was interested in your view. So I think your view was pretty sage advice. Can you share that with us?
I think that it's good to do some scouting trips, some maybe 1 week trips a couple of times first, but be realistic about what you're going to achieve in a week. And what your objective is for that week. If you've never been to San Francisco or never been to the Bay Area, to come and move here or come and come for 3 months at a time, it's a big step. And I think that there are learnings that you can have by putting your toe in the water, getting over here, potentially meeting with us, meeting with the Aussie Founders Network, getting a sense of how things work in the Bay Area. And taking that home as learnings and homework, then you'll be all the more prepared when you do take the bigger step to come, whether it's for 3 months or more permanently. So I think that even in terms of a sense of the city, where you might want to live, how to get around, you'll save yourself those, I suppose that means when you do come permanently, you can really just get on with it.
But I mean, it is a very different environment to Australia, and as you say, the investment market's very different. They have a very different view, very different approach. There was again some discussion last night about the way that Aussie investors, and I've experienced this firsthand, want profitability and they want EBITDA, and it's very much focused on that. The whole market's driven around that and has been for many years. They're coming from a very much I used to have a joke where, when you talk to an investor in Australia, they say, yeah, we love the tech idea, we love the technology, it's cool. So when do we start digging stuff out of the ground?
Well, that's Australia's, that's our history, isn't it? And start digging stuff up or growing it or something like that. Yeah, that's
correct.
And so it's interesting to think about the path dependency for Silicon Valley and the path dependency for the Bay Area. How did the Bay Area become what it is today? And how does that shape the experience that you'll have here? And in that contrast, yes, that focus on profitability and excuse me, making your money go so much further in Australia as opposed to the capital market here is so much deeper, so much larger. Companies can raise a lot more here, but spend it a lot faster as well. The talent is going to be more expensive here. The expectations of that talent in terms of benefits and extras, and it is a very different environment to Australia. And it was a theme that we talked about last night, that the Bay Area is fantastic to come and experience, but it doesn't mean that the Bay Area way of building a business is the only way to build a business or the right way to build a business.
No.
But if you're going to come here, you've got to understand how they think.
That's how they do it. That's it. It's all about scale. And I think we probably are living in a world of, increasing returns economics, where it is all about speed and scale. And I had a conversation a while back with a guy by the name of Howard Tullman out of Chicago, 1874, and he said to me, it used to be the big eating the small. It's now the fast eating the slow. So
that's a good analogy. I think speed is everything here. The pace at which companies develop, and do their product development and get a product to market is astronomical. And so if you're not running fast, you will get left behind here. And so that can be daunting. But I think my message for Australian founders and startups would be, just because it's daunting doesn't mean you shouldn't have a go. It doesn't mean you shouldn't come.
Definitely not.
And none of it is unsurmountable or unlearnable. I think so. So come in with humility but confidence. Come in asking a lot of questions. And be open. The others have said it, and I've found it myself, that the Bay Area does have quite a warm, receptive to a certain level, culture and environment, and people want to help each other. But the reciprocity there is you've got to follow up really quickly. And if somebody's offered to help you or is extending their network to you, if you don't deliver, you've burned their network. And so there's a cost.
So you've got to be cognizant of that, and you've got to be respectful of their network.
Yeah.
And I think people are a little more protective of their networks over here as well, because of exactly that. If I'm introducing you in there, there's a real level of trust that goes into that, and you've got to respect that network and not abuse that trust.
And so, I mean, at a practical level, some tips, if you are coming across here and looking to network and ask others, whether they're people you already know or people you're meeting, to introduce you on and in essence, do you a favour perhaps. I think it's really good to follow up really quickly, be really explicit about what it is you want, write the email for them, you know, and don't put it in dot point form, but really structure it so that so for example, if it comes to me, I can forward it on to somebody and
Without
say, hey Lee, I'd really like to connect you with Jack. As per her note below, she's interested in XYZ. If I have to, or if somebody else is going to have to structure that for you, they might not do it. They might not do it today, or they might have to get around to it tomorrow. So make it as easy as possible for people to help you.
Oh, that's excellent advice. So you guys do amazing work here helping companies come over. And I think some people sort of go, oh, government, you know, like it's all too hard, bureaucracy or anything else. But you're here to help these companies, right?
100%. The Australian Trade and Investment Commission is all about contributing to Australia's economic growth and prosperity by connecting Australia with the world. Here in the Bay Area, I mean, you talked about tech, obviously, that's the story of the Bay Area. We do a lot with startups through the landing pad. You know, this is an initiative that brings startups over in cohorts for a 90-day stay. They get a free desk space in our landing pad, which is at WeWork here. And Austrade services free of charge for those 90 days to make introductions to potential customers, to mentors, to partners, to investors, to service providers that can really help you understand Bay Area business. Check that you've got that product market fit, that your business model's right.
And maybe give you a sanity check.
Well, and you know, get an understanding, maybe help with that understanding of who else is in the market here, and maybe how you need to pivot or structure the business to scale. Because as you say, it's all about scalability
and how quickly you can scale. And I spoke to Gabe yesterday at Landing Pad. We did a couple of interviews from there, and one of the things that we discussed was that, you know, I've spoken to a number of people about landing pads, and they say, oh, it's a desk and, you know, it's a co-work, I don't really need it, I'll go and stay at Rocket Space or WeWork. And the point that I guess that we were making and that Gabe made very well is that it's about the network and it's about access to those service providers. It's inside information. Anytime that you can get a leg up and have an inside running or access to a network, then that to me is what the landing pad is about. It's not about the desk. That's just a nice little...
I mean, the desk is it's almost a hygiene factor, isn't it? It's somewhere to park. But my comments on that absolutely would be it's about the network that Austrade can open for you. It's about the experience or advice that Austrade and previous cohorts or previous founders that have come through the landing pad can share with you. But that cohort experience in and of itself is really valuable, and anyone that's been through an accelerator or a program such as that, you know, it's a real hothouse. And so what I've found is that the founders that are in the landing pad support each other and help each other, and you know, everybody comes with a different background, and so some people might be bringing marketing expertise, some people you know, might have a strong tech engineering background, and so that in and of itself has been really valuable. They've found you know, it's not only through Austrade and the doors that we can open, but the support that the founders provide for each other.
Excellent. So if people want to contact, to go Austrade, the
austrade.gov.au or Australia Unlimited /landing pads. You can find out more about the application process.
We'll put the links in the video
Fantastic.
as well.
Fantastic. And you know, we'd love to hear from you if you're coming across to the Bay Area, and you're an Aussie founder, and you know, whether you're here for a week or you're moving across, get in touch, check out the resources that we have on our website, and I look forward to welcoming more and more Aussies this way.
Well, I have checked out the resources, and there's some amazing stuff on the website, so you really, if you're thinking about coming over, I think that's got to be the first port of call. And as I said, you know, the Austrade and the Consulate General here is here to help and support. Frances, thanks very much for your time.
Very welcome.
We're going to be heading to an event tonight, I
Yes,
think. Are
I'll
you
see
going to
you
be there
there.
tonight? Yeah.
See you there.
So what is the event tonight?
So it's the Australian American Chamber of Commerce quarterly drinks at the W Hotel in San Francisco. If you're in San Francisco, come along. It's a great opportunity to catch up with other Australians, either founders or Australians working in the Bay Area, both in tech and outside of tech. There are sectors other than tech in the Bay. Surprise, surprise. So it's a great night to catch up with Aussies and friends of Australia.
Excellent. Okay, thanks again, Frances, and keep watching us on Beach City Life on Facebook, YouTube. Just search for Beach City, and we'll see you back with some more very shortly.